lesson for all goalkeepers to not celebrate or run off too early, as the ball inexplicably bounces straight up and then, with no keeper, bounces right into the goal. The Hornets' Kemba Walker assumes his three is going to go down, turns around, does a little shimmy, except the ball comes out. University of Oregon steeplechase runner Tanguy Pipiot lost a race in the most unfortunate way possible. He began celebrating what looked like a victory before the finish line, and as he slowed and waved to the crowd, Washington runner Maron Simon came charging down the finish line and passed him. Carla Esparza edges out Cynthia Calvillo by decision, though you get the feeling Calvillo thought she was going to get the decision. Unfortunately, celebrating too early while on your bicycle potentially could lead to a disastrous fall, including damaging your bike. Showboating before you've crossed the finish line is asking for some bad karma, as you can see here. In this classic NFL play, the Bills' Sammy Watkins somehow doesn't hear the footsteps of the defender and gets caught 5 yards before the end zone. When Netherlands' Van Nistelrooy misses a penalty kick in a World Cup qualifier and Tony Lima gets in his face to taunt him about his miss. Luckily for Van Nistelrooy, the match wasn't over, and after scoring later in the match, he goes to find Lima and get his revenge celebration. One unwritten and very well-known rule in sports is to not celebrate a victory until the game is actually over. Croatian basketball team Cibona Zagreb didn't follow that principle in the NLB championship game against Serbian team KK Partizan. After a pair of missed free throws from Partizan, Cibona raced up the court and nailed a three-pointer from the baseline to take a 1-point lead. Although there were 0.6 seconds left, Cibona celebrated on the court, but the game was not over, as the celebrators would soon learn. Dusan Czechman of Partizan heaved a 75-footer with time expiring and banked it for the improbable victory. For some reason, this cyclist thinks the race is over, when in reality, there is still one lap remaining. This gentleman tries to jump up and celebrate finishing, but ends up injuring his ankle and requiring care right in the middle of the finish line. One lesson this team will carry with them for the rest of their lives: play until you hear the whistle. Player throws down the ball at the end of the game and his teammates celebrate, but realize too late the player fumbled and the opponents took the ball in for the winning score. In the Big 12 semifinals, Oklahoma's Buddy Hield gets the ball with 1.8 seconds remaining and apparently hits the game-winning three as time expired. He immediately runs over to the scorer's table, jumps up onto the table into the crowd to celebrate. But wait, did he really get the shot off? Or did the ball not leave his hand until after the clock hit 0? The refs call off the basket. West Virginia wins. One more example that a goalkeeper should never look away after a penalty kick. The ball is blocked, but it continues to spin and goes into the goal after the keeper walks off. At the Peachtree 10K race in Atlanta, Ben Payne was inches away from victory but begins to celebrate, which gives British Olympian Scott overall just enough time to lunge ahead of Payne and take the win. In a USC vs BYU volleyball match, the BYU team makes an incredible save and manages to put the ball back over the net, which catches USC off guard as they had huddled up celebrating what they thought was a point for them. The blue team scores a goal and has an incredible celebration with flips, dancing with their fans, but for some reason they didn't realize that their opponents were getting set up and kicking off for an easy goal. Another example of an athlete losing count of how many laps are remaining. You can see here he celebrates what he thinks is a win. Then he slowly realizes his opponents are still going full throttle as they pass by him. These little guys are so psyched when they hit their free throws with 2 seconds left, put them up by 1 point. But within that 2 seconds, their opponents are able to heave a game winner. Now this is just instant karma, celebrating with a fist pump when your opponents are right next to you. And another fist pump, but unfortunately for this gentleman, the finish line is just a bit slippery. Megan Rutledge was comfortably leading the women's Moto X 12-lap race when on the final lap she pumped her fist at the top of a jump, apparently thinking that she had raced in the bag, but then took a nosedive and fell, allowing Vicky Golden to pass her and win the gold and complete a three-peat. Nick Young of the Lakers celebrates a missed three-pointer. This cyclist raises both arms in celebration, but ends up biting the dust and just laying there in agony. Don't be giving high fives and celebrating until the race is over. The finish of the junior men's 20,000 meter inline skate in Colombia is exactly how you don't finish a race. Volleyball teams are too often caught out of position when they're celebrating a would-be point, when the opposing team keeps the ball alive. This gentleman was way ahead of the pack and was celebrating, thinking he had won. But the ringing bell signifies the last lap, not the end of the race. So Ohio State makes a game-tying three with 5 seconds left, and everyone, fans, players alike, celebrate like they just hit the game-winning shot. There's still 5 seconds left, and Penn State has plenty of time to inbounds the ball, take one last shot, which goes in and cuts the Buckeyes celebration short. In volleyball, as in most sports, you need to keep your head on a swivel, as you just never know where the ball is going to land. So in this skating championship, Buffoni takes her turn, pulls out the trick, earns enough points to put her, for what she thinks, comfortably in the lead. She and her fans, friends, and family, they celebrate like she's already won. But Nishimura still has a turn remaining, and she also hits her trick. And this is the moment, right after they're hugging, that they see that Nishimura got exactly enough points to win, and you can see Buffoni is not pleased.